As a disclaimer, Monster Fuckers Anonymous is indeed about wanting to love and have sex with monsters, but we want to make things extremely clear from the get-go. The monsters we will be selecting will be sentient and able to consent. Not all of the chosen monsters will be sapient, but we will not be endorsing zoophilia or bestiality. Anthropologically, monsters all around the world, and media representations of them, have had many racial and sociological implications. We will be as transparent and ethical as possible, while also sex-positive and mostly having fun.
Monsters. Creatures feared all around the world in folklore and myths. Terrifying beings such as the fiendish and frightening fae, demonic devils, sultry sirens, hazardous harpies, and countless chaotic creatures coming from crevices of every continent. As long as stories have existed, there's been one pressing question that has remained unanswered by scholars for generations. One powerful thought that has plagued our minds for millennia. Can we fuck these monsters? That is what we're here to find out today. Welcome to Monster Fuckers Anonymous.
To another fantastic episode of MFA, aka Monster Fuckers Anonymous, a show where we talk about monsters, talk about their lore, talk about everything about them, and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 on whether or not you, yes, you listening, you right now who's eating something as you're listening to this podcast, or as you're driving, there's only the two options, you should be having sex with those monsters. Little freak listening on your drive. But I'm your colorful creature consultant cleric, here to talk about monsters in all these weird forms. And with me, as always, is the amazing, the incomparable, the technical analyst, Joe.
You never give enough time before you scream and start the episode. It's never enough time.
It's never enough time. She's going to suffer with that one because I don't apologize for it. Should I record that so she can have enough time?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, well, suffer, Kaz. Yeah, as you know, this is how the show works. We're going to take a couple monsters from a theme that we're going to pick, and we're going to just talk about their lore, talk about everything, and rate them. So, Joe, first of all, how are you feeling?
Don't talk to me. Don't ask me questions. I hate you.
I don't want to ask Joe for a theme anymore, so I'm going to do something different this week. Dear gods, can you please enlighten us with a... Yes, I see your heavenly godly lights are shining down. Dear gods, please bless us with somebody who knows a topic. What's that? The skies are parting? Someone's descending down from the sky? Who the fuck is that? Why the fuck are they breakdancing? Is that fucking Hamnah?
Demigods are mortals, born with or given divine power. With one foot in the realm of the mundane and the other amongst the gods, demigods straddle the line between life and immortality, vulnerability and strength, humanity and divinity. They push the boundaries of what it means to be human, bringing the angelic and holy within arm's reach. Demigods are mortal, except they're not. Except there's so much more. Except we, as true mortals, have no choice but to fall to our knees in worship in the wake of their godhood.
Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So, Hamnah, do you want to say hi to the people?
Do I want to say hi to the people? That's a good question. Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Hamnah. I use any and all pronouns, and I'm really excited to be here today. We have some very interesting energy going on.
In the studio today, the studio being all our separate apartments.
Yeah.
So, Hamnah, what godly message do you have to bring to us today? What message? What topic to spray? What spray are you going to use on us?
What godly squirt do you have for us today?
What squirt master 5000 are you about to use right now on us?
Look, I brought the squirt gun. Don't worry, we're gonna spray it all over the audience and this call.
We're spraying on what?
Am I saying words? I don't know why I'm saying words.
I hope whoever's listening to this on their drive is at a drive-through and that part just came up, like the McDonald's workers just about to hand them something, and it's just like
it's an
squirt
immersive
gun
experience.
Or if you're like in a car wash while listening to this, you know, you can really get into a 4D experience with the whole thing.
In fact, everyone, if you're not at a car wash, stop listening. Go to a car wash
and start. We're gonna Kez put car wash sounds in the background for the next. Replace the background music. It's gonna be a car wash for the rest of the show. So.
And then Hamnah now will tell us who's squirting. It is.
Drumroll, please.
Kez.
Today we will be talking about demigods, and I guess to a lesser extent, gods as well.
Okay, that's interesting. What draws you to them, Hamnah? What makes you want to talk about them?
For me, demigods are really interesting because they're a little bit of both, you know, like they're a little bit human, but they're also a little bit divine, a little bit angelic, a little bit godly. And I think that it's a really interesting place to play in with this idea of like almost human plus. And I think that's where like monsters are really interesting to me personally, is when we take a human and then we kind of fuck them up a little bit and we give them a little bit more power and a little bit more something that's scary and dangerous. And I think that's demigods, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to be. It was interesting about demigods, and I think what might make them even a little bit of a controversial pick for our audience is that a lot of demigods have human forms, and human forms they mostly kind of stay in, with some like variety through that. Like there are some who stay in more monstrous forms, but mostly some of them who stay very much humanoid. And very much like you can't even perceive their godly form, and so they have to take a human appearance. So it's something of like, do these people are considered monsters? Is it just their attitude that makes them monsters, or their being? You know? Wow.
It's on the inside. What counts? You know?
Yeah. Are we monsters or men? Are you man or Muppet? And that's what we're here to find out today.
Are you monster or no? Wait. Are you human or are you dancer?
Are you mice or men?
Are you poo poo or pee pee? And that's the peak comedy that we're
an option.
Yeah.
That's the peak comedy you would expect here at MFAs. But with that.
No, I was going to say, no, but it's interesting that you say that, like, maybe because demigods are like mostly in their humanoid form, that they might not count as monsters. But I think that actually kind of like ups the monstrous factor of it, right? Is this idea that you might not even know, like, you don't know what they're capable of.
The true monster was man.
I don't know about y'all's pussy demigods, but mine's definitely a monster. So
okay, all right. You know what, Joe? You gotta talk all that shit. You gotta talk it. Me at the top of the episode. Why don't you start us off?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to start the episode, and then I'm here to win because my name is Cleric34, and I only care about competition in an otherwise not competition-based podcast.
First of all, competition breeds innovation. So how about you start innovating your picks?
Breeding what?
Breeding innovation. Breeding me. They're breeding me. All the picks, all the wins breed me. Start the episode. Oh my fucking god.
So my choice, who will be breeding Cleric by the end of this episode, is a great demigod classic. We're starting with the classic, everybody. We'll be talking about Chulainn.
Who?
A demigod born of a mortal mother and a godly father. The great warrior and hero of Ireland, Hound of Cullen. Chulainn's exploits and legends are that akin to Achilles. With a beauty both boyish and kingly, he also held a magical rage that seemingly set his hair and eyes ablaze, teeth bared for all to see. Bound by 2 gesh, or magical sanctions, these were the gifts that granted him such power, and also became his ultimate downfall.
Damn, Joe. How are you gonna just talk like that?
I can talk like that the whole episode.
I'm fucking at 2:00 in the afternoon. You're fucking talking like that.
Like, excuse me, Joe. Hold on. I need to freshen myself. To power my nose.
I need to powder my dick.
I'm not hard anymore.
What the fuck? Why were you hard in the first place?
You weren't?
I'm always erect.
Where are you going?
I'm always erect at the beginning of these episodes.
All right, just break down your pick for me. I'm not even gonna. I don't even want to do this. Like, what do you? What break it down?
Chulainn. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce the name. It's Irish. Who cares?
Ireland
Who? I'm just kidding.
Hey, their queen just died.
Chulainn.
Show some respect.
Ireland's queen? I don't know if that's correct.
I'm sorry, go.
Chulainn, the dog, the hound of Chulainn, is, I don't even, like, there are so many like media depictions of him that obviously we can hop into at another, in like sort of the next point, but has just always sort of vaguely existed in the back of my demigod and like mythology understanding. Like there was always like King Arthur and stuff, but I think what really makes Chulainn interesting is that what makes a lot of like some of the Irish great warriors interesting is that there are so many poems about how specifically sexy they are, but also how like in in one of the readings that I did, his like hair turns into fire, or like that it shows the appearance of that once he's in this magical rage, or it's translated as warp spasm. Eyes become slit and then dilated, almost like like a wild animal. He bared his teeth from jaw to ear, and he opened his mouth until the gullet was visible. Just like this hunger that also came alongside his immense ability to just destroy people that ever challenged him. And he like, you know, many demigods do. Demigods are kind of like celebrities, but one of their parents is a god. Like there's just like this aspect of like
Nepotism,
wildness that yes, of course, that they have to just kind of go through. And he was married at some point, and then he fell in love with another woman. He fell in love with a sea god.
Ooh.
But then because of how messy it was, he and his wife were like, let's just forget about this. And then they drank a potion to forget about the whole thing, forget about the affair. So sometimes things are just easier to do if you are a demigod and you have the ability to just forget about your problems. Then if everyone's cool with it, you can just forget about it. No problem.
Joe, where are you going with this? I'm trying to.
I don't know.
Like I'm trying to, because you've only really described I'm not really getting an appearance look. I'm imagining he has like very like dog-like features, and is kind of just like.
I kind of love that.
It's kind of hot. Like I'm not saying it's not, but you're describing like because he likes war. If what you're describing, like he's like a fighter. He's like.
Yeah, he's like, it's like an honor-bound soldier situation. Like this is someone that born and bred for war, for sure. Most King Arthur, like if we think of the knights, for sure, there's like an aspect of honor and battle.
Okay, so he's a military
it's like
brat.
an oath thing.
Sure, yeah.
All right,
but he's sexy.
So he's a sexy military brat. Is
so
what
it's like
sexy
Loki,
military
like
brat
werewolf meets the military brat.
Yes,
yeah. Which is not the worst combination we've had on the show. Like, it generally isn't,
especially because it's like ancient Irish royalist situation, which like we don't fuck with the monarchy. Absolutely. In this case, though, I would fuck the shit out of this werewolf royalist.
Yeah,
I will say the concept of like the eyes changing into slits and like the line that you read around like the mouth and all of the teeth, like I will say that is hot.
100%.
He's known as the Hound, the dog of Chulainn.
So there's loyalty there. He's gonna be a loyal.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna be kind
devoted.
Of loyal. He's devoted, and if he ends up slipping, he'll be like, "Hey, we can just forget about it." And
which
I'm sorry.
isn't good. That's not good.
It's not good.
It
isn't good. It isn't good.
Okay, because here's a scenario I'm imagining, and this is not a good scenario. Like I want this to be said. This is not a good scenario.
Okay.
I imagine he like you've been seeing each other for a while. He fucking is like your anniversary comes up and he completely forgets it. He like doesn't do anything for it, and it's like that's a disappointing for your partner not to remember your anniversary.
I don't think so. I, as a partner, don't remember anniversaries.
Hold on, can I finish my scenario? How about that?
No.
Or you start chiming in with your fucking opinions. Anyway,
I'd like to read something. I'd like to read something to immediately cut you down and kill you. I'm cutting your knees off.
All right, go for it. Fuck it. Yeah.
When he was literally in the middle of battle, he met a beautiful woman who wanted his dick, wanted that dog dick. And then driven by his sense of duty, he rejected her.
Mm.
And then she disappeared. I don't know if that means that she just like disintegrated, but she just like was like, all right, fuck off. I'll fuck off then.
See, that's the thing though. Because of stuff like that, I don't know if the Hound, this dog man, would actually forget your anniversary. Like it just feels like he wouldn't. You know, like I don't think he's the kind of guy that would forget. I think he's the kind of guy who would like remember it, probably like plan shit like well in advance and do like a whole big thing about it. Like it feels like that level of loyalty and like, you know.
Okay, I get it. I can kind of see that, but I also imagine that he does something, like he'll mess up, like he'll say something that like gets underneath your skin, like he'll accidentally say something that like hits on an insecurity, and then you're like, wow, why the fuck would you say that? And then instead of trying to resolve the issue, he's like, listen, we can just forget we had this entire conversation. Here, drink this. And it's like, whoa, no, you fucked up. Like, why the fuck would you give me this? It's like, no, listen, let's just forget we had this conversation completely. I'll forget I said it. You forget that you did this. You know, it'll work out. So that's not like a good basis. A dick can be good, but you making me forget every time that you like accidentally mess up is not going to be a good situation.
It is a consensual, like, hey, I fucked up so bad that we can't go back. And I'm assuming there's like some sort of arrangement to their marriage, because as like a bunch of ancient marriages were, there was like something to get out of both sides. So presumably if he had to stay with this woman, sorry for saying it like that. I think there was an aspect that really wanted to make that work still. And if they were like, listen, if we still have to do this, then I at the very least want to make it so that we can enjoy something, which obviously for me personally, ignorance is never bliss. In most cases, I want to know, like I would definitely be driven mad by eldritch knowledge, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's still going to be an aspect where like he will talk all this shit about loyalty, but like there is still that like one human aspect of like, damn, I should be polyamorous.
I mean, yeah, that's probably the easier solution than all this, but
polyamory is always the easy solution to all of this.
Yeah.
So I think I need more, like a little bit of help trying to see who he is. So you said there are some media descriptions of him. What are some that we might know of?
You're gonna be so bad.
Like I don't.
What did you bring?
So what is a favorite media series of mine with which houses great heroic spirits within history and utilizes them in a sexy manner? Claire, can you
shut the fuck up? Shut the fuck up. Can you remind us?
Why did my brain go to Hamilton, which is incorrect?
Absolutely no. All right, hang on.
In the eye of a hurricane, there is quiet.
There was dog meat
for just a moment. But I know it's fucking Fate's Day night. We fucking shut every time.
We all know it's Fate's Day night. I'm gonna send some pictures to Hamnah at the moment.
Just put in our fucking. In the eye of a hurricane, there is quiet for just a moment. Yeah, let's go. Now it's kind of stuck in my head. Kaz, cut that out.
No, keep it in.
Oh, this is him? He's Lancer?
Yeah, he's hot.
That's
Lancer, baby.
He's Lancer? Okay, that changes a whole bunch of things, to be honest. Lancer, a baddie from Fate's Day Night. Oh, he actually is hot.
Yeah.
He has a couple good scenes.
Look at his like smile. I can't.
Smirk. His death scene go crazy.
Yeah, it really does.
Spoiler, I guess.
His death, even in the myth, is so the two Gesh, that the two magical sanctions that he was bound by, with which gave him his power. Mm-hmm. He cannot. What is it? He cannot refuse help or food from women, like any woman. So he's a feminist. And he also can't eat dog meat, which is both are solid.
Yeah.
But an old strange woman basically was like just like a huge dick to him. It was just like, you have to eat my fucking food because you're bound by the magical laws. And he was like, yeah, I guess I have to respect the queen. And then she fed him dog meat and was actually the Morrigan who was fulfilling the prophecy of his death. He was in his early 20s.
Damn.
And then he, like a true diva, once he ate the meat, he started, his left arm just like completely was powerless. Like there was just no more strength in parts of his body. And I'm reading, in his final moments, he tied himself to a standing stone using his own entrails and died raising his sword to the heavens. His rage and reputation were such that no one attacked him until a raven, the Morrigan herself, revealed that he was dead. So sometimes the oracle, the witch ladies, you know, they got to do what they got to do, but a bro is going to die.
That goes hard.
The most dramatic
That's
death.
metal as
It
fuck.
goes very hard. Yeah.
That shit goes hard. Not real. That bumps him up a little bit in my book. That's a fucking. Well, okay. He also. No, actually, I think he's a loyal one because I'm thinking about this. Because one, he refused somebody on the battlefield, but he can never turn down a lady. So it's always just like, hey, I'm not going to sleep with you, but if you ever have a request from me to like move all your furniture in one day, I'm your man.
I will do that.
Okay, I do think that there's one drawback to this. Because he is so duty bound and so much of like a military brat, he probably puts work before everything else.
Oh, 100%. What I imagine is you. That's not good, but I'm unemployed now, Joe. I don't have any work. So how I imagine this goes is that military brat, he gets like fucking sent off, like, and he keeps signing up for tours because you know how in military you can keep signing up to keep going back on tours. And I feel like he does that. He gets off leave and then immediately signs up and he's like, hey, we have a few, like, are we going to talk about our future plans? He's like, well, no, my plan is to keep going and then we can like figure things out from there. But like he just keeps going back to sign up for the military, and it's just like, okay, this isn't like a progressively good thing to do, the planning wise. You can't keep sending pictures of him in Fate Stay Night and then expect find a different picture of him. Find something that's not from the Fate series, and we'll consider
this.
I will say though that Joe putting those pictures in the chat is really doing it though. It's really giving him points. Your
second picture is from Persona? Shut up. Find any what is a historical picture of him?
That one.
It's again from Persona.
It's another Persona picture. Dear Lord.
Whatever. Let's go to the Papa scale. We've been talking about this for a while. Let's jump into the Papa scale.
Yeah.
While fucking Joe just sends sexy anime boys and says that's my defense, like a fucking loser.
I mean, it's a good defense.
So, Papo, for possibility, how possible it is to be with him physically and personality-wise plus location, it's not that possible. I'm imagining in the scenario, not that it's like modern times, but it's like in the times that he existed, would it be possible to do? And it wouldn't really be because A, he's duty bound. And as we mentioned, he literally turned somebody away because he was like, listen, I'm fulfilling my duty at the moment. I'm currently married, can't do nothing. And so he didn't. He literally turned somebody away and they disappeared for all eternity, probably dead. So there's like that possibility kind of dude up. If he forgets his previous marriage, sure. But again, if he's duty bound to something else and not you, the odds of him fucking you is not really happening. So I'm going to...
He'll fuck you.
Oh my God, that's... Okay.
He'll fuck you. I don't think there's any problem with that.
No, he will fuck you. He'll fuck you. But, 4. Sorry, number. I'm just giving a number because I got really distracted by the images.
There are a lot of them, and they are all very good.
Thank you. No, that's fair. I'm not out of here just meeting him up on like a battlefield. Like when, I don't know how, like, I don't even know what wars were like back then. Just like a whole sprawling like field or whatever. But how, if we're talking war now and he just has his gay bulg, it turns into a gun or something. I don't know. And apparently his spear also just like sent out like little like darts and like needles basically as he stabs people with the spear. So like it kind of just like fractures like outward within someone. So whatever that is a gun, you know.
Many bullets. So many bullets.
So many bullets. A fragment grenade. Like, yeah, absolutely. What was I going to say? I don't know.
Give it a number. We need a number here.
Right. I'm not out here trying to get close to that. Oh, absolutely. But if he had enough of a lull in a battle to tell a woman, sorry, you got to go. Like, just, I need to take I'm using this as a break for me. I can't deal with this. I mean, I don't know what that point brought up in particular. It's just still really funny.
A number.
I would have to agree. I think a 4. I think a 4 makes sense because it's just below average, but like if you tried, sure. But like, I don't know if I'm going to make that effort.
Okay. Hamnah, what are you thinking?
In terms of possibility of like finding him and like successfully betting him, I think, see, it's interesting because I'm kind of getting caught up between two different things. One is he's duty bound. He's also beauty bound, but he's duty bound. But you also mentioned that one of his geshes is that he can't say no to a woman, right?
That's so true.
There's no request that he can't turn down. So like in that way, doesn't that kind of like increase his availability? Because if you ask him, if that's the request, then he can't say no.
I'm trying to remember if it was like any request or if it is that he can't turn away food. I'm trying to remember that. So there's like a couple different things. Unless you frame the food as pussy.
you're gonna. I would like to request that you eat this pussy, please.
Please.
Oh my God.
My solemn request is eating my fucking asshole, please.
I'm also just now reading that he was going to face Mev. I cannot remember her specific role in Gaelic mythology, but he was like, "Oh, my bad," because she was on her period and she was having a bad like cramp day. She was like, "We could just reschedule." Like
respectful.
King.
Actually, you're in pain. That's okay. You know, like we'll figure this out another time.
That raises it to 5. That raises it to 5.
Reasonable.
I do think I'm gonna go with a 5 as well. I don't think he's like fully unavailable, but I think there are some significant obstacles in the way.
Okay, interesting.
Right.
All right, so then we're gonna jump to attractiveness. How attractive 10. He is? 10. I'm gonna go with a solid 9.
I think 9 feels right. 9 feels right.
If you're wondering what pictures we're pulling from, it's the Fate's Day ones that we're all going from. That we're saying is a 10 or a 9. But
if you have a tattoo over your titty,
that's a next level hot.
That's next level.
That's a next level.
It like connects to his sleeve. It's so good.
Hold on, look at the picture you did of the picture you spent. The second one, the blonde one.
These are from Smite, I believe.
Okay, so then that creature behind him is him.
Okay,
that's him opening his gullet. Wait. This might
I'm
have to go down.
imagining it differently than that. Yeah, I'm imagining it differently than that. Personally,
I hope it's not
he's
this
a monster,
picture.
guys. It doesn't have to be, but there's whenever he's like in the throes of his supernatural rage, there's a monstrosity here because he's a monster, guys.
Yeah, but I'm imagining like more like not quite like eldritch horror type opening, like stretching and opening, but I think eldritch horror type.
You know, it's still fine.
This, you know?
I'm gonna keep my score of a 9. I think that just prevents it from being a 10 because that's just like it's fine. It's doable. I'll still make out with him.
Yeah.
All right. So now it's for audacity. How audacious it is to get with him. I think this is solidly audacious.
I disagree.
I was going to say it's not that much actually.
The reason I think so is one that you have to like approach him and he's denied a whole bunch of people before, been very respectful, but he's been like, nope, married, can't do it. If he's in an oath, if he's currently fulfilling like his military brat oath, then he's not going to do it. He's going to be like, nope, sorry, in the middle of stuff. Which means you have to find the right timing. You have to find the right doing it. Especially if he's in the throes of something, it's not going to be a good time. You may be respectful. I'm going to give this a 6, which is not too audacious, but it's still, I wouldn't rank it higher than that.
I was going to say 6 as well, just because like these ladies are throwing themselves in battle to try and get some dick. I can do that too.
True.
I think it's a 4.
Really?
I don't think it's that. I don't think there's that much audacity in asking this fine dog man to have sex with you because like clearly a lot of people are doing it.
Higher is less audacious, by the way.
Oh, I see. In that case, yes. Yeah, 6. It's the other side of the spectrum.
6. So, triple sixes across the board. And finally...
666!
Finally, parental approval. Would our Christian immigrant parents approve if we brought this white man home? The answer is no.
No, not even a little bit.
Why? It's just a blonde guy who he doesn't have to turn into a monster to see your parents.
But like, what if he does? But what if he gets angry, like during dinner, like during family dinner, and then he goes into his rage, and then what?
Isn't family part of like the duty thing? Like you have to respect.
That's true. I think for my family personally, it would rank a bit higher, maybe, than my usual higher scores. I think this would be a 5. Reason being, 1, it's a man. If I come home with a man, I'm getting disowned. 2, my dad, a bit of cleric lore, my dad was in the military. He was a Marine. So I think he would be kind of like interested. Like he'd be like, oh, you're a military kid. He also hates the military now, or he's not too like super big on his kids doing anything military wise.
That's fair.
So he wouldn't be, I don't think he'd be super ecstatic about that. And then it's a white person. And so my parents not approving of any white people in my life. So 5 to a 4, I think. Actually, I take it back. It's a 3. I take it back.
What about you, Joe?
I Korean people, I don't know if you can hear my stomach because I'm hungry, just like growling.
No, you're good.
I think Korean people have like they have like an understanding of like the military, but they're like, yeah, whatever. All men have to do it. So there's like not even that aspect of it that's like that really matters. And I don't know why he would like remain in his early 20s in my mind. Even like I fall under that. So I don't know like how young looking, or I mean, obviously he looks like a fucking man in these pictures. I don't know. Like, I think it's fairly possible. I feel like a 6 or like a 5.5 is like where I'm at, because like there's nothing that specifically would prevent my parents. I feel like my parents wouldn't have an opinion. Like they're just like, okay, which is
just like you do you.
Neat.
Which is crazy for most of these people, these monsters that we've chosen.
And how
I think for me, like already there's so many things working against him, unfortunately, you know, like he's white. My parents would not approve of that at all. But also the fact that like he's a straight up demigod. That like I come from a Muslim family, and that's just straight up sacrilegious. They'd be like, what do you mean? Like, I feel like that would rock their world if I came home with a literal demigod. I just don't think that would be an easy sell. I think the military thing, similarly, my parents probably don't really have any like strong opinions about either way, at least not that I'm aware of. But I think the fact that he's a white man and quite literally would shake the foundation of everything that they believe in would be a hard sell. So I think probably I think a 3, like a solid 3.
All right, that's pretty reasonable. Get it. So with that, we're going to calculate our scores and see how this white man ranks up. Joe, let's pause for math.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Midroll. I'm Kez, I'm your editor, I'm your producer, and I'm here to give you a few announcements before we get back into the episode. First of all, thank you to our Ko-fi members, Skilled Not Sane, Christian J, Daydori, Akima, and Funzo Surawali for your support. Over on our Ko-fi, you can find behind-the-scenes updates for the show, monster rankings from all our episodes, and sometimes we do outtakes that didn't make it into the actual episodes themselves. You can find us at kofi.com/monsterloverpod. Okay, some interesting announcements. On December 2nd, Cleric and Joe will be holding a panel at PAX Unplugged with our friend R.K. Wild, who you might remember from our movie monster episode. They're going to be doing a monster tournament bracket. The event runs from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. ET, and you can find some information about that in the show notes. Or head over to the PAX Unplugged website, and you can find the event titled The Best Monster Lover. It'll be a 13+ event, so it won't be too rancid, but if you're around, why don't you stop by? And finally, I have a trailer to show you for a Pokemon tournament me and Hamnah have been organizing with a few of our friends, including Cleric and Joe, and a few other people who have hit on the show before. See you later.
Nameless Domain Showdown.
Hamnah and Kestrel have teamed up with a Nameless Domain to present a Pokemon Showdown tournament to celebrate the year's end and raise money for charity. We're bringing together TTRPG performers, game designers, and content creators in one heated bout to answer the most important question: who is the greatest Pokemon trainer? We're raising money for the Wet Sweat and Solidarity Fund so that the Wet Sweat and frontline warriors can protect their land from the forced installment of a gas pipeline that would destroy it, and the Black Trans Alliance, who support Black, trans, and non-binary people across London with housing, food, and transportation costs. We want to give directly to the people fighting hardest for the communities who continue to face injustice. This event is sponsored by Animon Story, Roll, and Scold's Tale Entertainment, and we're offering giveaway prizes to donors, provided to us by Elderwood Academy and Knave of Cups. There's a lot to look forward to. The event will be airing on twitch.tv/namelessdomain, and will be split up into 2 streams. The first will be the opening rounds, which take place on November 19th, where you get to meet all of our contenders. Then, on November 26th, we'll be holding the semi-finals and finals to see who walks away with the Mercury Gym badge. We hope you can make it, help us support some good causes, and have a good time with all of us.
So, Joe, where does this white man rank up?
Where this dog white man, where werewolf white man ranks up is for you, cleric, you have a solid 5.5 for Chulainn.
Okay.
For me, it's a 6.8. And for Hamnah, it is a 5.8, which gives us a solid 6 flat for Chulainn.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. That's pretty above average. Pretty good.
Pretty average.
Military brats, I guess, is ranking up, but werewolves definitely rank high on all of our books.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm with it. Hopefully, the next couple ones will be able to either top them or, fall to the wayside. But with that, I think we're done with the captivating Chulainn. Hamnah, are you ready to tell us about who you got?
Yes, I have brought Zagreus from Hades.
Ooh, okay.
And so, Zagreus is the protagonist of the game Hades, the son of Hades and Persephone, prince of the underworld, bisexual king with both daddy and mommy issues. Zagreus' goal is to escape the underworld, only to die again and again and again and again in an endless cycle on his relentless quest for freedom.
Now, I've never played Hades. Roguelikes confuse me and make me upset in a way that I cannot understand. But I've heard that...
I mean, you do a lot in the game, to be fair.
What if I just passed away right there? I just collapsed.
That would be happy birthday to me.
R.I.P. cleric.
So I have heard that in the game, Zagreus is a god, not a demigod. So does he really count for this episode?
So technically speaking, according to mythology, Zagreus is, the son of... in Hades, he's the son of Hades and Persephone, who are both gods. And if you look at the actual mythology of it, Zagreus is the son of Zeus and Persephone, who are again both gods. But in the lore of Hades, the video game, in and of itself, there's a lot of allusion to the idea that Zagreus is not actually fully a god. There's a lot of reference to the fact that Zag actually bleeds red blood the way that mortals do. And it's commented on as being a strange thing that gods don't do that. And it alludes to the fact that he has some sort of relation to mortality in some way. And in some of the extra lore, in the book, when you play Hades that you can sort of read through, there's a section that basically is looking at and talking about the idea of mortality and immortality in gods. And they talk about Dionysus, who one can argue is a demigod because Dionysus has a mortal mother and a god father, but we consider Dionysus a god, right? And then they talk about the idea of is it not possible for other gods to be part mortals too? And I think the heavy implication there is that Zagreus is part mortal. And I think that kind of further gets hammered home when you consider the fact that in some retellings of myths in this realm, Zagreus is actually sometimes considered to be a reincarnation or the first incarnation of Dionysus himself. So that kind of further adds to this. So in my defense, for the courtroom, for the judges here, I would count Zagreus as a demigod and not a true god.
Honestly, yeah, Greek mythology it's just in general, there are so many tellings of it that like, who knows? It's not, because it's mythology, who knows what's actually
true. Like what is
truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are these whole possibilities, and I think we just need to focus on one aspect of who Zagreus is, and I think that aspect is his rock hard abs and his little fucking
his rock hard abs, short king, bisexual,
fucking. Oh god,
he's got it all.
He's got it all.
He has got it all. He's also very clearly a sub. So for all of you doms out there,
and what makes you think that
so easily?
What makes you think that?
I mean, have you looked at him? Have you seen him? Like, he just looks like one. But also, I think the fact
just
that
has a subby look.
He does have a subby look. But I think even beyond that, the fact that he is just out here with this like single-minded goal, and he's just pursuing it relentlessly. I don't know. It gives me kind of like bratty energy because like everybody's telling him like, don't do this. Everybody's like, you trust me. You're not going to want to do this. It's not going to work out for you. For a variety of reasons, you should just stay here and you should find a way to be happy with the life you've got in the underworld. And he refuses to listen. He refuses to listen to reason. And that gives me big brat energy.
True,
yeah. No, also like, his dad is Hades, who's this like corporate guy in this story. Like that's, if your dad's like a big boss, you're a brat. You are going to end up being a brat.
True.
Absolutely.
Also, he like canonically has a potential romance with Meg, who is so clearly like the dom in their dynamic. Like there's no way that Zag tops Meg. It's just not possible.
Exactly. No, when they have sex in the game, she like whips him and he's just like, oh, like the noises are so like him being surprised and her laughing, and it's like, incredible.
I'm with it. Listen, if Meg whipped me, I know I do the same thing. So I understand where Zaggy Boy's coming from.
The sub just jumped out.
Yeah.
Did it? No. But I think we have to talk a lot about how, like, a little bit for the Papa scale and a little just in general, how, first of all, Mans is in hell. Mans is straight up in hell.
If we even want to jump right into possibility, Hamnah, can you regale us of what happens when he stays on Earth for an extended period of time?
Yeah, so Zag, because his soul is bound to the underworld, and I think in the game it's also heavily implied that like Hades, his father's soul, is also bound to the underworld as well. So we can sort of extrapolate from there that this is like a familial thing. But Zagreus' soul is bound to the underworld, which means that he literally cannot spend extended periods of time on the surface or on Earth, like amongst mortals. He starts to like wither away and like literally die every time he spends far too long on the surface, which is, part of why people kept telling him like, don't go there. It's not worth it. When he goes to try to find his mother, Persephone, up on the surface, he can only really spend limited amounts of time with her because eventually he just starts to prune up and die.
Okay, so that really does limit possibility genuinely, because like if he's again, like if we're going with Persephone rules where he can only be there in like the spring and summer, and then the fall and winter he needs to go back. It's very much this relationship of like long distance. You go to be with your long distance partner for like 6 months. 6 months they gotta go back. Joe, your hand is raised. Your little hand and pinky up.
If you die and go
I was
to
going to
the
say
underworld,
that. I was going to say that. I was like, you know what? You can be with him. You just got to die first.
These are not good things. What? Like, if you want to be with the love of your life, just fucking boom. Like, what? No.
I don't know. There's something very deeply attractive about giving your life to be with the love of your life. I don't know. I feel like there's something there,
It's attractive.
Mine's
but
less
not
intense
good.
than that. Mine is less intense than Hamnah. But listen, I feel like all of this averages out because we could all die now. We could all die right now.
We could. And then at any moment you could be with Zag.
Exactly. So if all it takes is for you to die, that can happen at any point.
This is not good things. I don't know what we're
not saying it's a good thing to die, but if it only takes you to be in the underworld and you can be around Zagreus. It's possible.
Okay.
Like he in the game, most of like the dead souls in the underworld, right? They manifest as shades, and he can talk to them. He can communicate with them. Also,
It depends on what floor you're on. It depends on if he's going to come through. Even though he's constantly trying to leave hell, doesn't mean he's going to be on the same floor that you are.
Floor.
And you might not even be a shade per se, because we can see some of the people that are dead, that are like mortals in the underworld, do show up as like people. Like Orpheus is down
Sisyphus,
there, you know?
Orpheus,
yeah. Like Achilles is down. I mean, technically Achilles is a demigod, but like, you know, like
all the people you named are
people.
demigods. Sisyphus is a demigod. Sisyphus is a demigod. Orpheus is a demigod. Achilles is a demigod.
What about Eurydice? She's
a nymph.
She's a dryad.
Yeah, nymph dryad.
She's a nymph.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm just saying that there's ways that you don't necessarily have to be a shade to be in the underworld.
This is a 2 for possibility. I'm gonna you have to die, get sent to Greek hell,
easy,
somehow end up in the right floor, and then have to convince this person who's constantly trying to escape to make out with you. Which he's just a whore, so it's possible. So you know what?
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, just be so good in the bedroom that he refuses to leave now, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually gonna help
stay." Him. I feel like in his one-track mind, he's gonna be like, "Oh my god, like I'm grateful. Let's like be friends," and then eventually you fuck. That's how friendships work with demigods.
What the fuck are you talking?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that's why you give them the little the nectar. What is it called? The nectar.
Listen, give me your scores. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Give me your scores.
I do think this is a 5 because obviously the huge thing is that it necessitates dying.
I was saying 6. It's not that hard.
It's not as hard as people are saying it is. I hate you. I can't believe I have to keep bringing up this conversation of averages. 5 means it's an average thing to do. If you have to die on average to meet them,
easy.
This is not.
We can all die. I could kill myself right now. Easy clap.
I could kill you right now.
Exactly. Hamnah could fly over and destroy you.
Crawl out of the screen right now like the ring girl. Yeah.
Killing yourself shouldn't be an average, but whatever. Fuck it. You know what? Fuck me. Fuck me. You know, fuck me.
Attractiveness.
10.
But also, I mean, you don't have to even die for him to be with for him to
Zagreus is a 10?
So actually, Zagreus is a 9. It's a 9. He's a 9. Look at that picture I put in the chat. Look at that.
I know. I will say
his little nipples out. Look at that.
He does have his nipples out.
That's a whore.
He wears leggings. Like, come on. Like, yeah.
Also, I think one detail we are all forgetting that I think increases his hotness factor is the fact that he literally cannot truly die. Like, he gets reborn into the underworld every time he dies, right? And that's true even when he goes to the surface. He, like, dies, but he, like, is alive, quote unquote, in the underworld, which means that
the cat said, yeah.
Pause for cat.
I'm not happy with the point I'm about to make. But the fact that he cannot die means that for those people who are into like sadist, masochist dynamics in the bedroom, the limits have extended so far.
That's not good. That's still
not good.
Being like, wow, I can murder you now in like the bedroom.
You don't have to murder him. I'm just saying that like the realm of possibility expands.
Now the choking can actually knock you out. Like that's fucking okay. Whatever. What's your numbers? I need numbers.
If you're immortal and your lover can kill you while choking you and it's fine.
That's true. You know what? I'll stick with a 9. Like my attractiveness scale isn't going down. I'm just like y'all. I don't know how much you want to get murdered by your partners.
Only if we're both immortal.
Yeah, you can't die. You literally can't die. It's not possible.
If
you can choke on that dick.
Exactly. Hamnah, do you want to give your score?
10. Look, I'm a simp. I'm down bad. I fold.
But you're the brat in this scenario, though, Hamnah. So he wouldn't be doing it for you.
No, that's the fun part. Is then you have the power play, the power games. to see who comes out on top. It's a nice little challenge.
Nice. Okay. Joe?
I will say there are hotter people in the game for me. But it is very high still, so I think an 8 is where I stand.
Fair.
With Zagreus.
Absolutely fair. Audacity. How audacious it is to be 2. Again, this is a 2.
No.
What do you mean no? Like you have to kill you, like, to get to there. The argument you've both made is that you have to be dead. You have to die. Mm-hmm. Which is already audacious. The fact that the entry point to interact with him is death has, like, nothing you say can be higher than a 4. I'm being
but not necessarily. He can come up to the surface briefly
for very brief times. It's still audacious. It's a demigod.
He's so devoted to coming to see you that he spends all of this effort and time and energy to come to the surface just to see you.
Don't fucking raise your eyebrows at me. I don't know what the fuck.
The way my face is like the cat knife at Cleric right now.
What are your guys' numbers? Okay,
look, for all of the jokes, I will say it is pretty audacious. Like the audacity, it has to be relatively high here. It requires a lot of commitment to the bit. So I think, I'll give it a 3.
All right, that's reasonable. I understand that. Joe?
Okay, so the thing is, I gave the Minotaur a 5, and I gave the Babadook a 4. You know, I feel like we'll stay. I gave the artist from Dead by Daylight a 6 in audacity. I think this has to be a 6.
Cleric is so mad right now.
He himself is not a dangerous person.
Okay, you're right. He himself is a whore, so he will be down to clown. The base entry to meet him is still dead.
Is dying, and I'm saying easy.
He'll be so respectful when you meet, though, you know?
Pronto approval. Would our Christian immigrant parents approve of Zagreus?
No, definitely not, right? Because he's a Greek god.
Greek god, comes from hell, technically a demon, a man.
Literally the son of the equivalent of the devil. Definitely not.
Yeah, nipples out.
Yeah,
I don't think my parents would appreciate
nipples out, no table. Shoes,
unapologetic whore. Like
yeah. 2. Yeah, seems fair all around. All right, now we've done a deep dive into hell, into Zagreus. Why don't we pause for a little bit of math?
Yeah.
So Joe, I kind of just want to get this over with. What are the scores for Zagreus?
The scores for Zagreus. You have given Zagreus a shitty little 3.8 average. And Hamnah and I both have the same score of a 5.3. So that gives Zagreus a 4.8. A 0.1 just below Pyramid Head, which I'd like Cleric to think about the choices that we've made in this career.
That's, I guess. I don't want to think about that too much. I don't want to think about the implications of that list. The list is getting worse and worse.
I feel like Zagreus was robbed. I just want that to be noted for the record, and I think specifically Cleric robbed him.
If you have a complaint, official on Twitter. Don't fucking say it on the. You can send it all there for Kez to deal with.
I will tweet at you. I'll get you canceled, Cleric.
It's been bound to happen. But speaking of canceling, time to get to our last little demigod to talk about. And honestly, funny enough, my pick has been mentioned in this episode already. My pick has already been talked about in this episode. I guess we're talking about another aspect of Zagreus, because I brought Dionysus.
Oh, shit!
Dionysus is known as the Greek god of the harvest, parties, theater, and madness. He was born as a child of Zeus in a mortal movement, making him the only demigod to be allowed to sit with the major gods. A powerful being, drunk on his own wine and power, Dionysus made one fatal error, going after someone his father coveted. For that, he was casted out, forced to serve as a horrible task for 100 years, being the director of a camp for demigods, Camp Half-Blood. So, yeah, I chose Dionysus, very specifically, the Camp Half-Blood version, the Percy Jackson version of him. I was a Percy Jackson kid, I've mentioned this a couple times. But yeah, I've chosen Dionysus as my demigod, because as Hamnah so eloquently brought up, so I don't have to really defend this choice, Dionysus is technically, for all intents and purposes, a demigod.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. He was born to, I can actually pull up the specific name instead of like just saying woman.
Oh God, what was her name?
It's,
it
was
Semele?
Semele.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Daughter of Cadmus, which is one of the first heroes, actually. So technically, Dionysus has hero, like, demigod hero, like, lineage besides just being the child of Zeus. And suddenly he has, like, this whole lineage of heroes, which makes it interesting. The reason I brought up the specific Camp Half-Blood version of him is, one, because Dionysus is usually portrayed as, like, sexy wine god. Like, he's, like, super hot. Like, everyone, like, women love him. He's, like, this very much like a sex symbol. Like, if you see the Hades version of him, hot. But the reason I bring up the Riordan, the Percy Jackson one, is because he's so upset with his getting casted out with his own punishment that he specifically changes his appearance to be like, I hate being here. And what he does is basically look like Stanley Tucci. That's it. He canonically makes himself look like Stanley Tucci and like just this sad, like, I'm upset to be here character, that he is like, he's no longer this like, because he hates heroes. Like in this version, I think also in Dionysus himself, but in this version, he hates heroes. And mostly Dionysus, he hates demigods, he hates all that stuff. Because one, Theseus left his eternal wife, I forget her name, like something with an A.
Ariadne.
Ariadne, yes. In a, like, on an island. And so because of that, he hates heroes. And because he's very devoted to his wife. Canonically, in the Percy Jackson series, he's the one with the least amount of like demigod children, with only 2 kids canonically in the entire like story, because he's so he hates heroes, and B, he loves his wife so much that he doesn't want to, like, he cheats on her the least amount of anyone.
Which is saying a lot in Greek myth, honestly. That's
really
like
is.
true love in the myths.
So he's interesting. His personality wise, when he's like in there, is like, I hate, like, he doesn't remember people's names that walk up to him. Like, even though he's known them for years, he does care about all the campers. Like, he's grown to love the campers, but he'll still be like, Percy Jackson will walk up to him and he'll be like, "What's up, Peter?" And he's like, "No, I've known you for 10 years. He's like, "Well, Parker, you're going to have to do this and this. Now get out of me." He also can't drink when he's there as the camp counselor.
Zeus, I mean, that makes sense. I love that.
No, Zeus banned him from drinking because he was upset about what he did. So he just banned him from drinking. He's like, you can't, for the next 100 years, you can't drink. So the only thing he does is drink Diet Coke. That's his one kind of like.
That's so sad.
It really is. I pity this man. And that's why I want to suck his dick.
Stanley Tucci is hot.
I mean,
yeah.
I will have to be the dissenting voice in this call then. Stanley Tucci is not hot. I'm sorry.
Okay. No,
that's okay.
That's so fair. Actually,
when he's bald, when he's like actual Stanley Tucci, not this Dionysus.
Hold on.
Honestly.
Actually, speaking of Dionysus, Dionysus is actually going to be, they're remaking the show, genuinely. They're remaking the show. They're remaking the movie, actually, to do a whole TV show with him, and they've actually recasted.
Oh, that's right.
They've recasted Dionysus. Yep. So this is his more recent appearance of what he's going to look like is Jason Medzuki, which still hot. I'd suck this Dionysus dick vigorously. Vigorously.
You gave us the most unflattering picture of Jason.
Yeah,
I did. I chose the worst one purposely.
I don't know. I think there's something about feral man with very large, unkempt facial hair that just doesn't do it for me.
I like it. I like him.
And I'm so happy for you. I hope that you do get to suck his dick. Unfortunately, it just doesn't do it for me.
All right. Well, and Joe, what are you thinking now that Hamnah's rejected everything about me and my person and now hates me?
No, I'm down for Dionysus. There's something interesting about his story in particular, because I know that there's was Semele was his wife or his mom? What was it?
Semele was mom.
That's his mom.
Got it. So yeah, I think I'm if you've obviously listened to the favorites episode where I talk about the Minotaur extensively, Dionysus is also just sort of like in that peripheral, as when Theseus abandons Ariadne, intentionally or not, whatever, Dionysus is like, has this full hatred for Theseus and then like sweeps up Ariadne and like marries her. So that's just like there's this warmth to Dionysus. Absolutely. That's just like so notable. And he's like, he's so complicated and like interesting because he's also technically a chthonic god to some degree, but he's also an Olympian.
Yes.
So confusing. I
was actually doing a little bit of research for that. Apparently, like because he was a late addition in the whole like Greek pantheon, it's that the reason he was a late addition, it was because they had to do like so much more research about him, and apparently he was a darker god. Like he was a completely different one than he was in the Greek. Like he wasn't about wine, he wasn't about parties. He was more like, he was really focused on the madness portion. Like he was more of like, I give madness and insanity to everyone around, like to the people, and that's like really what it was.
Yeah, I read a thing that was talking about like Dionysus like rituals, and we don't actually know that much about what like a Dionysus ritual would have looked like back then, but I think people have this conception of it just being like parties and you drink and you dance and whatever, and it's like, no, like the little that we do know about them, like it was unhinged. Like it was like you do drugs until your brain is fried, you dance until your body feels like absolutely feral. Like it's pushing past a set like a mental state that we would consider to be like fun, quote unquote, in a party setting, to something like way beyond that, something that is like partially pleasurable, like but ecstatic in like the very literal sense of the word ecstasy, which isn't necessarily inherently all positive, which I think is that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think
there's I think honestly my favorite thing, which is like definitely an indication of what possible rituals, what they could have looked like, is the Maenads, which are the mad women that are his followers, who like have ripped Orpheus apart. I think it was Orpheus. Like they were like, we hate your fucking pussy, Orpheus, you gotta go. And they just killed him. They like just tore his body apart. And honestly, that's great. And I love it. There's so many media representations of Dionysus, because like there's also the wicked and the divine Dionysus.
I guess they didn't wait for Orpheus. You know what
I mean? This Dionysus doesn't sleep. Like he is just constantly. He doesn't have sex either. Like I do enjoy the interpretations of Dionysus that are not all about certain aspects, but like the things that center mostly is like frenzy and just like unadulterated, uncensored pleasure, and like otherwise, like Dionysus at the very least is a home for that type of feeling, which certainly indulgence can become violent and out of hand. But love Dionysus, nothing to complain about.
I think it takes hedonism to its like very logical end and conclusion, and that is where Dionysus kind of sits. It's not hedonism in the sense of like the average way that we usually think about it, but it's taking it to its absolute extreme. And what does that look like?
Another neat little thing that I like Percy Jackson and the Riordan verse a lot, is something that he did was technically Dionysus is the patron god of all transgender and intersex individuals, because in technically the lore, like in order to hide from Hera, who was going to fucking kill him, he was like had to be disguised as a girl for the first like a couple years of his life, and had to live as a woman. So he was able to like, he experienced that. And then, so he became then the patron god, which I think is just makes him, shoot up in my book. Give him a little kiss.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of like literature, he's described as being androgynous, just like in general. and like described as being very like gender queer in the way that he looks in particular.
You got that bussy on him. So with that little bit of information just tucked away, I want to jump into the Papa scale. So I think for possibility with Dionysus, it's high, but not the highest. The reason I bring that up is, one, he has canonically like the least amount of demigod kids in canon, both like Greek mythology and in the Percy Jackson series. He also is kind of like, he has cheated on his wife. He's willing to do it. He has kids, but it's like he's very rare and he's like depresso and he like kind of thing. So really the way you have to do it is somehow like be like super into like art, parties, wine, drinking, like those kind of fields to meet him. And then maybe like you'll have the chance. So I'm giving this a 5, like genuinely, I think average 5.
What did I say for the other two?
You said for possibility for Chulainn a 5 and then Zagreus a 6.
I'm trying to think. We're talking specifically about the Percy Jackson version of Dionysus, correct? Not talking about Dionysus in general?
I mean, sure. Whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, that changes. It changes things a lot, I think, for me personally.
We'll stick with the Percy Jackson one.
All right. I think in that case, possibility is, I think probably also a 5. I think it makes sense that because he is on Earth, it would be like way more easy. Like it would be way easier to go find him and to talk to him and whatever. And like throwing a party or that's so easy to do if you need to get his attention in that way. But like you said, if he is so like devoted and so loyal to his wife, then that makes things a little bit harder than the other demigods.
Mm-hmm. True, very true.
I also say 5, just like a full average out. Like I feel like there is still the expectation of some gods to like be. I mean, I don't know how approachable Dionysus's approach is being. I don't know how his approach to being a god goes about in terms of him being accessible to his followers. So I mean, like I'm expecting there will be some hiccups, and also if it requires me to have to be like at this camp.
True.
Many things depend. So I think a 5.
Yeah, you don't have to be at the camp because he does. Oh no, actually, he's trapped at the camp now for the next 100 years. So yeah, you'd have to be. Yeah.
And for the next 100 years, you literally cannot leave.
Yeah. I don't know how I think his sentence was reduced down to 50, but no, it's still 100. Attractiveness. How attractive is Dionysus in this little form of his? For me, 7.
What the fuck?
That's lower than I thought you were going to give, actually. I'm surprised.
He's still hot. Stanley Tucci is hot, and then Jason's also hot. These are hot things, hot beings. I like the beard, I like the scruff. Is he hotter than Zagreus? Is his Hades form the hottest? If it was his Hades form, 10 out of 10. Instantly. Licking a fucking... Yeah. I'll lick butter off his nips. This one, I'll share a drink with him, you know? Romance.
What?
You're gonna hate me because in this specific form, 4. Dionysus would get a way higher rating in like a different form, but in this one specifically, the Percy Jackson version, 4.
How could you do this, Claire?
What do you mean?
How could you curse this god?
How am I cursing this god?
With Stanley Tucci and Jason Vidzicki. What is his last name? Jason. I want to give Dionysus a good score. Dionysus.
It's Dionysus.
I blame Stanley and Jason. I'm blaming Cleric.
There's nothing to blame. I've done nothing wrong.
Dionysus does deserve a high score, but the iteration that Cleric has chosen has damned this demigod.
Yeah, but sometimes it's what you got to do. Sometimes we don't pick the hottest ones. We pick the ones that are right.
A 7.
That's fine. 7 is reasonable. I'm fine with that. I get it. I understand. Audacity. How audacious it is to get with Dionysus. To get old Dio in it. To get the dick.
Shut up. Audacity.
It's pretty.
If you're a partier, if there's a harvest, if there's wine, I mean that sounds pretty not impossible.
I think I'm gonna go with a 6. I think a 6 is pretty fair.
It's not more?
No, I think it's like it's again, like we said, he doesn't really cheat on his wife, doesn't really do all that, but he does. He just kind of stays in his cabin, and is being a director. He has a company. He's actually a company chief that sells strawberries. You know, it's pretty solidly audacious, but just not super into it.
I feel like it has to be a 7 at least. Like, I mean, not at least, but like, I feel like this definitely is one of the more. If Dionysus is a demigod, there has to be more approachability than even like a regular god.
Yeah, he's the one who's always on Earth. Like, he's the one who's canonically the most.
Yeah, and I mean, he's also like the god of pleasure. So like that, this is his domain.
Sex.
That's what he's about.
He knows how to use them.
But
vines.
in this iteration specifically, though, you have to remember you're going to the camp specifically to proposition him, and then you're asking him to do it in the camp. And I feel like that increases the audacity a little bit. I think I give this a 6. I think Dionysus is definitely one of the more approachable ones, but given the circumstances, it makes it a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Fair. And finally, you got to go for a parental approval for the last time this call. Parental approval. Would our Christian immigrant parents approve of Dionysus coming through the door? No.
Not even a little bit.
Dionysus given the
Yeah.
That'd be the worst case scenario, honestly. This is a 1.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
really?
Stanley.
I think this is a 3. This is better than Zagreus, because Zagreus is a literal fucking demon.
Yeah, but it's Stanley Tucci. My mom likes Stanley Tucci, but I don't think she'd appreciate me fucking him.
Are you sure that wouldn't make her approve a little bit more because she likes him?
No, she would be like, "Why the fuck are you fucking? Why are you doing Stanley Tucci?
Why are you fucking my man?
Why are you fucking the Devils Wear Prada man?" Which is what she knows him as.
He is the Devils Wear Prada man.
Yeah, we used to watch that movie religiously. More cleric lore. I know that movie front to back. I watched it
How did she not know that you're gay?
Because it was the only DVD we owned for a while, so we had to make it work. So we had to we only watched that DVD, so it was reasonable that I watched it an extensive amount of times.
Okay. I believe it's time for math.
It is time for math, and while I'm gonna queue up Devils Wear Prada while we fucking do this. Joe, can you give Hamnah the numbers? Can you get Hamnah's craving them? Hamnah's desiring them before.
Give me the numbers.
Oh God! Quickly, Joe! Quickly!
Okay, Cleric, you have to cover your ears real quick so you can't know the scores. For Dionysus, Cleric Hamnah. So Cleric got a 4.8. What a loser. You got a 4.5, but you're perfect. It's fine. And then I got a 5.5 average, which is hilarious. Which gives Dionysus a 4.9 overall for all of us.
Damn. That is 0.1 more than Zagreus.
I can put my headphones back on. My headphones are off that entire time. Didn't hear anything.
Yes.
So, Joe, can you read out the final scores for the episode? To the divine demigods,
Yeah. So for all of us, in third place, we unfortunately have Zagreus, which is crazy.
There's just some hotter options.
We got a 4.8.
Just some hotter options.
I can't. I blame Cleric for this.
Should have brought Stanley Tucci.
You got hung up on the death part. You got hung up.
Should have brought Stanley Tucci. And maybe...
I can't believe Stanley Tucci beat Zagreus. What is this? I question the validity of this scale.
Listen, you and everyone who listens to the show. The scale is so busted and so dumb.
That was our so that was Zagreus in last place, unfortunately, at a 4.8. Dionysus in the middle at 4.9, with just the 0.1 killer. And Joe reigns supreme this episode because Chulainn got a 6 at the very top.
All right. Oh my God.
Bitch.
Shut up.
Congratulations to Joe and Cleric. I hope you reevaluate all of your life choices.
Why is there a cat in my window?
It's asking you to reevaluate your life choices.
I'm sorry. I know I screamed that right. There's literally a cat in that window right over there. Like, my roommate's cat is just okay. We have to wrap this up because I have to get this cat out of here. So, I'll never reevaluate any of my choices, Hamnah. But Hamnah, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. This is great to have you. But anything that you want to shout out? Any closing thoughts?
I would like to say thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun just to talk demigods with you all. I will say once again, Zagreus was robbed, specifically by Cleric. All of the blood kinksters in the audience need to rise up and cancel Cleric on Twitter, please. Thank you.
My ad is cleric_34. So if you want to cancel me, there it is. I want to see them tweets. Get my engagement up.
Yes, but I am Hamnah. I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer. If you like what I do, which is I play a lot of queer disasters who make bad decisions, you can follow me on Twitter at @Shahid_, where I talk about all of the different projects that I'm a part of. I'm on a variety of different APs, so Twitter's the best place to know where I am at any point in time.
Wonderful. Joe, any closing thoughts about the divine demigods?
The most divine demigoddessy will get you more religious than you've ever been. I don't know.
That was sad.
Amen.
That was just all right. And my closing thoughts, well, Stanley Tucci, call me. All right, everybody.
Stanley,
let me get that Stanusi. Bye.
It's funny because Joe's wearing a crab sweater, so.
Yo, in honor of the Queen's death, crab rave, you know what I'm saying?
No.
You don't?
Start the show!
Oh my fucking god!